Welcome to the video guys. Another day and the SNP are moving further towards imitating North Korea and its policies. We all know about the bill they are trying to push through that will essentially end freedom of expression up in Scotland, which I covered yesterday. Well, there are also reports out that they might ban Scots from going on holiday, which is exactly what North Korea does, and last night they even came out saying they are banning people from drinking in a park because there will be nice weather, and I guess that means there will be trouble. I'm sure you would all agree the Scots Nat Prats and their policies are just a comedy club at this point, and like I've said before, something Kim Jong-un would be proud of. Well, the Express picked up on both of these stories, as you can see here, by the holiday ban article headlining, "Shameful Sturgeon sparks backlash as she threatens to ban Scots from foreign holidays." Nicola Sturgeon has received backlash on Twitter after she threatened to reintroduce travel restrictions in Scotland following a resurgence of the virus in Europe, which, given the way they've acted, is more likely to be because she's on a bit of a power trip, as I've said before. Nicola Sturgeon has warned Scots that she will not hesitate to reimpose quarantine and travel restrictions in the country if coronavirus case surges. So, as we expected, she can't wait to lock them all down again and have them all at her beck and call, listening to her nonsensical coronavirus briefings that we all know are just party political broadcasts. The BBC have even been called out for constantly promoting it, as was reported the other day. Now obviously this article doesn't surprise me and probably doesn't surprise any of you. This one here, however, did surprise me and is rather laughable because I don't know how they will ever get away with this. I'm sure people are still going to be rolling around in that park drinking, which is probably exactly what the SNP want, so they can make some money from the fines that they will be collecting. We know what they're like after all. Much like Oliver Twist, they are constantly walking around with their hand out saying, "Please sir, I want some more." Remember, Boris Johnson rejected them the other day, begging for more money. Scotland bans alcohol ahead of Friday's heatwave forecast, with police set to patrol the park. Scottish authorities have banned people from taking alcohol into one of Glasgow's most popular parks in a bid to prevent antisocial behaviour from breaking out when temperatures rise later this week. Much of the UK can expect to bask in scorching temperatures and glorious sunshine from tomorrow, with the mercury expected to rise to the early 30s, so be prepared for Bournemouth Beach second wave bullshit that is going to be coming, much like it did the last time there was some decent hot weather. Temperatures are set to rise to the high 20s in Scotland, prompting officials to crack down on alcohol consumption in public places. The move is hoped to reduce the levels of antisocial behaviour seen in previous weeks and ensure people adhere to social distancing guidelines. Note, the levels of antisocial behaviour seen in previous weeks has had nothing to do with the weather or alcohol. It is simply to do with the virtue signalling matters protests that politicians have been promoting. Glasgow City Council have announced no one will be allowed to enter Kelvin Grove Park, a popular open space located to the west of the city centre, if they are carrying alcohol, which is likely to be most of the people who actually want to use the park on that day. Why else are they going to go there, sit there and have a can of Coke? I highly doubt it. It seems to me the SNP are just trying to shit on anyone's fun so they can show their power over the people of Scotland. The move comes after police were forced to disperse crowds during the lockdown at the park following antisocial behaviour and assaults on officers. Yeah, I wonder who that was by. The City Council said the decision had been made in anticipation of the warm weather forecast for Friday. It said the weather is expected to draw large crowds to the area. Executive Director George Gillespie said much of the unacceptable behaviour has been fuelled by alcohol, and it has created an atmosphere that is intimidating and unwelcoming to many residents who regularly use the park. He added, "The simple message is that if you come to the park with alcohol, you won't get in. Everyone is welcome to come and enjoy Kelvin Grove Park, but alcohol should be left behind." And here, look, you can see this picture of this litter, which maybe shows one or two beer cans. Most of it has got nothing to do with alcohol, so banning it is certainly not going to stop that, unless of course people don't bother going there. I mean, I'm sure there's other parks that are probably less popular that they could all go to in the baking sunshine. Police Scotland said there would be a visible police presence at the park on Friday, so they can collect some nice juicy fines. Superintendent Ross Allen added, "We would like to remind anyone planning on visiting the park that alcohol is not permitted, and should incidents of antisocial behaviour take place, then those responsible will be dealt with robustly, as they should be at any point." Though, considering it's Scotland, it likely depends on which group you come from, and if you can claim you are an oppressed minority, the SNP and the Scottish Police will leave you alone. Earlier this month, the council locked 10 of the park's 16 gates to control access and prevent trouble. The move followed complaints about public drinking, littering, and concerns that groups were not observing social distancing. Yeah, but I guarantee they didn't say this when the virtue signalling Lives Matter protests were going on. Under current guidance, up to 15 people from 5 different households can meet outdoors but must follow the 2-metre social distancing rule. I'm sure absolutely no one is following that anymore. I actually forgot it even existed. And the rest of the article is just talking about the rules in Scotland that don't really matter and are not really related to what we're talking about here. Now, I do have to say, I wonder what more the SNP are going to come out with. They are trying to ban Scots from doing absolutely anything, and of course you might remember they tried to ban the English from coming up there, and even had the Scots Nat Pratt supporters standing on the border screaming bullshit, making themselves look like a bunch of idiots, which to be honest is common practice for the SNP and its supporters at this point. I have got to say, I wonder how well this ban on alcohol in this park is actually going to go, considering the way the Scots generally act towards these sorts of things. Any Scotsman I've ever met in my life, if he wanted to have a drink in a park, then fuck me, he's going to have a drink in a park at the end of the day, regardless of what wee Jimmy Cranky and her bunch of loons ever said. So I will not be surprised if the people of Scotland go and do the same tomorrow before she bans them from drinking altogether, and as we covered a moment ago, she might well try to ban them from going on holiday. Though, to be honest, given the shit show we are seeing, you're probably better off staying in this country, otherwise you might end up with a quarantine that you didn't know you were going to get when you left.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors. Slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires. And that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going, and we are glad to be going. We're off.